Today's topic, how to teach kids about money. You know, when you sit there and you're always like, oh man, I wish they would have taught me this. Well, now's your chance to teach your kids about money, because no matter how much we argue about it on how we should have this probably much earlier than college, high school, middle school, elementary school, there is a chance now where we can start to help our kids with money. And this actually comes from a viewer question that came to us. They watched the video for the Roth IRA for kids and they said, hey, love this topic. Can we expand on it? And today we expand on it. So I'm going to break this into a few sections. Here's what I got for you in this one. We're going to do chores, banks, budgeting, credit cards, and last but certainly not least, investing. All for the kiddos. We're thinking like, probably 6 to teenage years, maybe a little bit older. That's the range we're aiming for. But hey, tips for everybody. So stay tuned. That's all coming up next. First up, we have chores. Really anything to earn some money, right? That's our goal here. And when I think about teaching kids, and if you are new to the channel or you just missed this in other videos, I have 3 young children. My oldest is 6, so he is just starting to enter the area of, hey, we can start to talk a little bit more about money and what it means and what you can do with it. And then we have a 4-year-old and call it a 20-month-old, sometimes maybe going on 8 based on his current wildness. But 3, really our oldest is the main one that we can talk through these topics with at this time. The 4-year-old's starting to kind of get interested only because the 6-year-old, big brother says it. Oh, that seems cool. Oh, I want a dollar bill. I like change, all that good stuff. So first up is just chores. And I think this is a good habit, not a parenting coach. So just coming at this from my side of it in terms of, hey, these are things that we see. These are things that we try to do with our boys. These are things that we talk to our clients about. But just getting in the habit of chores. Allowances. Hey, if you help with the dishes, we'll give you $1. If you help clean the table, we'll give you $1. I was going to say, help clean the gutters, but it's probably frowned upon to have kids climbing ladders and cleaning gutters, but we'll skip that one. So first one here is just creating some form of work so that they can actually earn money. And there's a lot of good things that come with this, right? Let's just think about the real world. In order to get paid, you have to do something. So I think it just teaches them the habit that, hey, I have to work to build up this money. And now we're going to start to build on this. All right, so you do the chore, you get the money, now what? And that's really the goal of this video, is to kind of keep walking through these different phases. And right now, again, probably leaning this towards the younger population, I think, but also when you even go into some of the context on this, usually around 6, and it always depends on the child, right? Some kids are going to take it sooner, some kids might take a little bit longer, but at 6, I think you can start to have these conversations. But if you have a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 14-year-old, we can play through all of this, right? On, hey, you got to do something to earn that. And then that's where phase 1 comes in. And now we're going to take this to the next part of, okay, so we did the chores, we did the work, we got paid. Now what do we do? So let's get into that next section here. Banks, right? You earn the income here. Now, what do we do with it? I guess we could go old school here. We could also tuck it in the mattress, but we're trying to teach our kids good money habits. And I think one thing that's probably changed for current generation, but also thinking back even, more recently in terms of our children, it's more modernized, right? I believe they say that dollars actually use physical money. Cash is used less than 20% of the time now. That actually seemed a little bit high to me, and it's probably only going to decline, right? So if you have a 6-year-old today like I do, by the time they're really dealing with money, who knows? It could be lower than that. At some point, some people today probably barely even use cash as is, but money comes in. Now what do we do with it? Well, let's start to learn about bank accounts, right? You would be shocked, but a lot of providers actually do allow bank accounts for very young children. Many of them don't have ages linked to them. And I wrote down a few here. So the one that we personally use for our boys is actually Capital One. So Capital One has a great one. Chase has a great one. I start with those because those are the bigger banks. Those are the banks that you're going to recognize, right? You've heard of them before. But something we've seen really happen over the last few years is more niche banking just for kids. And this could be Go Henry. is the name of it. That's actually owned by Acorns. And then the other one you probably see quite a bit is called Greenlight. Now, these bank accounts have fees to them. They have pretty high fees because it comes with other features. You can do custom debit cards. You can have, sports. You can have unicorns. You can have rainbows. You can have balloons. You can have your kid's favorite hobby. They probably have it on a card already. So you can start to walk through that. You can build an allowance system. So again, going back to, okay, you clean the table, you did the dishes, $1 there, $3 here. And you can actually build that right into the system. So while it does have fees that come with it, there are some neat features. So it just kind of depends on how you want to take it. You can do all of this too through a regular checking account, but it's going to be a little bit more manual, or maybe added in your own Excel spreadsheets or Google Sheets or whatever the case would be. So first thing here is just teaching them what a bank account is, getting a bank account open, depending on what rates are, maybe starting to dabble in compounding interest. And the age is really going to dictate it here, right? 6-year-old for us, I'm going to use that as kind of my lowest example in terms of age. He likes to touch money. I could give him a check for $100, or I could put $3 in a card. He will go crazy for the $3 because it's physical cash. He doesn't care about a $100 check, even though it's a lot more. He doesn't care for it. So I think it depends on that phase where how much do you really want to get into banking, how much you just maybe keeping it in a bank or a piggy bank. But there is a point where getting that bank account open is going to be really helpful to teach them. Again, money comes in, you put it in the bank. This is where you're saving the money. This is where hopefully you're earning some interest in there. And then we'll take this again one layer deeper next, and we'll get into the idea of budgeting, which nobody likes. So hopefully our kids do. So let's get into some budgeting. Budgeting. No one likes it, but it's important. I think it's even more important to teach it at a younger age. Then it might not feel like it's such almost a swear word, right? When we hear the word budget, we're almost all like, ugh. So budgeting now at this age, it's funny, I was kind of thinking through this and I was like, wow, at that age, there's really not many responsibilities. So you don't have to get overly complicated here, right? The main ones that I wrote down were saving, charity, and fun. Charity could take, a few different ways. That could be actually giving to a charity. Maybe that's helping the homeless around the holidays. You could plug in a million things there, but just getting them in the habit of giving back, right? I think that's huge here. And the idea of saving. So you have this chance now where, $10 comes in. And now how much do you want to break this up, right? All right, well, let's put $5 into this bucket, $3 into this bucket, $2 into this bucket. It depends on the age. Once again, you'll hear me say that numerous times throughout the video because a 6-year-old is probably going to comprehend a lot different than a 12-year-old will. And they're going to have different goals in there. But I think there's a beauty and a simplicity that comes with, okay, this is your fun bucket. This is your savings bucket. And ideally with savings, we're going to teach them more goals. I'm going to get into investing a little bit later in this video. And then charity, giving back. So budgeting, start to break it down, teach them that every dollar that comes in should not be spent, right? I wish we all would have learned that much earlier on in life. So we can now teach our 6-year-old, our 10-year-old, our 12-year-old, our 18-year-old, just that simple rule, probably going to go a long way in life on just really building on that and really taking that forward in their financial journey. So budgeting, it's important no matter what the age. So let's start to build in some parameters there. We're going to jump up in age here a little bit. Credit cards. So credit cards for kids. Now, it's a rule that essentially under 18, you can't have a credit card. You cannot have a credit card in your own name. Most banks are somewhere between 18 to 21. It seems like most of them lean towards 21. If it is 18, it's likely going to have some massive interest rate to it. So just proceed with caution. But this is another good time to teach our kids about credit cards. And you can't just spend at will on them and you have to pay them off. And if you don't pay them off, here's really the penalty you get. And I say penalty, I'm just referring to interest in there. But all things considered, I would label that as a penalty. Now, the beauty that comes with that is if they are 18 to 21, they start to build credit. When used appropriately, remember, to start to build credit, you need 6 months of data. So it's not just a simple open it for a month and then close it. And remember, opening and closing cards can hurt your credit score. Using too much of the actual credit, your credit utilization, can hurt your credit score. So if you go down this path, make sure that either you already have a very good credit score so that you can teach your child how to have a good credit score, or do some research into all the moving parts that come with credit and credit utilization and all the parts that come with your credit score. Now, other topics that usually come up in this section is you can add a younger individual as an authorized user. And then this would allow them to start to build up some credit. Now, again, proceed with caution here because when you add them to your card, If they go on a spending spree, they're not responsible for it. You're still the card owner. Now, there are ways around this, right? You can put in spending limits and you can be smart with it, but just keep that in mind. And sometimes it's something as simple as, hey, we're going to set this card up. We're going to put our child as an authorized user. And then on their card, we're going to set up one of our reoccurring payments, right? You're almost just trying to give them a little bit of a head start by doing some proper things for them. But still, it's a good thing to teach them about a credit card. And I think that 18 to 21 range, hey, you're at college. All right, you have a $500 spending limit per month. I only want to see, books, food, and, the Uber to get home safely. Whatever the rules would be there. So credit cards, very important, but going to lean towards our older demographic of kids, probably the point where we're probably not calling them kids anymore per se, but that 18 to 21 is where credit card use on their own comes into play, but authorized users can come in at a much younger age. So credit cards, important topic there, especially as we start to help our kids, but also building that credit. As we all know that will be important as they move forward as well. Last but not least, investing. I'm going to take this a few different ways. Again, this one will really be dependent on age because age will be required for some of the ideas here. But at the very simplest form of investing when we think about our kids, this could be as simple as you having your own investment account. So an individual account or a joint account with your spouse or significant other, and allowing your child to maybe pick a stock. Now, I wouldn't go refinance the mortgage and let them go on a crazy stock picking fest, but something as simple as they love Nike or someone that loves Lululemon. And again, age is going to be important here. I was trying to think of a good example, and my 6-year-old's name is Riker. Riker has started to really enjoy Teslas. We do not have a Tesla, but he loves when the door opens up, right, and not out. He thinks that's the coolest thing in the world. So I was thinking that would be a good example of, I could talk to Riker and say, hey, Riker, you know how you really like those cars? Do you think, that type of technology could be something really cool going forward? And would you want to invest in a company like that? I haven't had that conversation with him. I don't know how much of that he'd comprehend. He might just say, oh yeah, that's cool. I'm going to be a part of it. But as our kids get older, you could probably really build on that hey, I noticed that, you really like Lululemon, or you really like this brand or this brand, and then teach them about stock ownership. So I think that's a really neat way. If you wanted to put the funds truly in their name, there are accounts for minors called UTMAs, UTMA, and then something called an UGMA, a UGMA. So that's one way that you can also truly put it in their name. Just proceed with caution there, depending on what your financial needs are. Come college time, those can actually really hurt you on the FAFSA form a lot more than if it was in the parent's name. So just keep an eye on that. So that's one thing to keep an eye on. 529 plans. I thought of this one from our own personal experience. So opening up a 529 plan for college savings, that's part of it, right? You're going to usually be listed as the owner, the child is the beneficiary. But one neat thing that Riker and I do is when Riker builds up cash from different chores or he saves up money from his different cards, he doesn't need a lot of cash in his wallet, right? He's a 6-year-old. So what we'll do is he will then give me the cash. I take it and I go spend it all on no, I'm just kidding. He'll give me the cash. I will then go into my online banking. I'll show him me transferring money from our account to his bank account or directly to his 529 plan. So it's a neat way for him to see, okay, I gave dad $50 in cash. It then goes into my bank account or to my 529 plan. And he gets excited for that. He thinks that's really neat. And God bless his little heart, he always loves the dollars. So he'll always give up the 20s and the 10s and the 5s. So he'll always give me the bigger bills, and then he likes to keep his 1s. So just kind of a neat way to build in that financial learning at a very young age, again, being 6 years old. And then taking it one step further, this is likely with an older child because you have to have earned income. But a Roth IRA is an awesome tool for a child. The key is they have to have earned income. So if they're a little bit older, maybe they have a summer job, maybe they're doing lifeguarding, maybe they're doing babysitting, whatever the case would be. If you're a business owner, there are unique ways that you can pay your kids legally, properly, that is earned income. And then they could open up a Roth IRA with that. And then one of my neat little hacks I love in there, and we tell our clients that have kids that are old enough to do this, is think about adding a cool match in there, right? So if they earn $5,000 over the summer doing lifeguarding, and ideally as parents, we're like, well, why don't you just put all $5,000 into your Roth? Give them a little bit of incentive. Say that you'll match. Hey, if you put in 2,000, mom and dad will put in 2,000, or we'll give you a 50% match, right? Because no one does a 100% match. We all have employers, they don't do that. But maybe you do a 50% match. Maybe you do a 10% match. They put in 2,000, you put in 200. Whatever the idea would be, it just gives them an incentive to say, all right, if you put that in, we're going to also match a little bit of that as well. because as long as you don't go over their earned income number, you're fine, right? The IRS doesn't know if it technically came from their income or mom and dad did a little bit of a match in there. As long as you don't go over their earned income, you're okay there. So just another neat way to continue to build that financial literacy and give them real world experience, right? That's going to happen when they have a 401k or 403b. So it's just a really neat way to teach them about an investment account. You can then get into stock picking, or maybe say, hey, this is why we don't pick stocks. This is why we love index ETFs. Watch this. Here's the S&P 500 for you. Neat ways to teach them as they continue to evolve into their own little financial money masters. And there you have it. How to teach kids about money. A little bit of everything in there, from chores to Roth IRAs to budgeting to bank accounts. Wanted to give you a good idea in a few different ways and customize that based on your child, based on their age, but some really neat ideas how we can continue to build around teaching our kids about money and good money habits. So as always, thanks for hanging out with me for the last 15 minutes or so. If you have not subscribed, you can subscribe by clicking here. We are releasing weekly content now. Thanks to all of your viewership, we are going to get into the habit of weekly content. So we will keep sending out great videos. If you have any ideas for videos, let us know. We'd love to feature it like we did for the start of this video. If you click on this bell icon too, we'll give you a notification every time we release new video. Again, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you in the next video.